Hello, hello, and welcome to Digital Marketing This Week. It is episode number 43, A Marketer's Guide to Productivity. Of course, brought to you by Seriously Simple Marketing over at SeriouslySimpleMarketing.com. My name is Chris Mercer. I'm all about analytics and optimization. I develop most of the content over at Seriously Simple Marketing, and of course, the host of Digital Marketing This Week. And just call me Mercer. Okay. Before we go on, just a friendly reminder for those who are watching this pre-recorded or on a podcast later, you can go over to Seriously Simple Marketing. You can actually join what we call the Insiders Club, where the Insiders is all about a little Q&A session we have after the official kind of content portion, which is what you're here today. It's a good chance to get some help and, kind of some free coaching or just meet and greet with your peers. We also will then send complete replays with that Q&A out to everybody who is on the Insiders Club. So, and even if you can't make the actual live event itself, you can always just ask questions before we give you an opportunity to do that, and then you can get answers to those questions on the recording and watch it whenever you'd like. So again, completely free service over at SeriouslySimpleMarketing.com. And without further ado, let's jump into this week's focus topic. It's all about productivity, and I thought, what should we try to get out of this? So here's what we're thinking. Obviously we want to go over the whole get one idea, act on that one idea, repeat the process. That's something we talk about every single episode because it is so important, and people forget that is just one thing you need to grab and take action on. That's it, not 47 different things, just one thing. So we like to repeat that. But today we wanted to talk about what you're going to get. So we focused on, okay, let's talk about how to get more done. Let's give you some tools you can do that hopefully in less time and then with less effort. And that's kind of like the trifecta of productivity, right? You're getting more done. It's less time that you're actually spending on getting those things done, and it's less effort to get those things done. That all increases productivity. And hopefully we'll give you a couple things you haven't heard about so you can learn a little more. Okay, let's go ahead and jump on in. This is a marketer's guide to productivity, the official content portion. First and foremost, I wanted to bring up some communication tools. And I apologize, the slides here are probably going to be just a little bit sparse. Normally I like to put some graphics and stuff, but I thought today we would just do some show and tell, and that might be a little more fun. So distraction-free Facebook Messenger. I'm going to show you how to find all of these as well. I'm going to pull up our friend Google here. So all you need to do is literally just type in distraction-free Facebook Messenger, right? That's what we're looking for. You'll see it pops up. It's in the Chrome Web Store. It's a Chrome extension. And what it does here, I'll give it just a second to load up. You can see it kind of goes from this, your generic Facebook screen with all the stuff going around. It goes to removing all of this stuff to where you really just look like this, right? So it's just Messenger. Now, why would you want this? You would want this if you use Facebook for a lot of communication with Messenger, but you don't need all the extra stuff about newsfeed notifications and somebody just, bought a new cat and here's the video and, here's something really, really cute that my son did or whatever it is. Like you may not care about all that. You just want to communicate using Facebook because some businesses require that even, or some, maybe what you're doing requires that. So here's a really good way just to keep it as a chat, right? So maybe you've got Skype open in one, you've got this open in one, but you're just communicating and it helps you to focus to use Facebook for just that. So I thought I'd go ahead and bring that in there because it is a useful tool. One thing that we use a lot, because the other thing is in communication is email communication, right? So we use something called Boomerang. And Boomerang, I've talked about before. I love Boomerang. I've continued to love Boomerang ever since I've found it. So Boomerang for Gmail. And then let's see, I'm going to pull this up and just show you this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll way down to these features. They kind of hide all these, but you can take a look. So I'm going to scroll through these and show you here. So email features, right? So this is such an incredible tool. And I pay for the premium service, which I think is around $10 a month, but it is incredibly worth it. So now they do have a free, so you can start with the free one, take a look at it and see if it's something that fits for you. And I would highly recommend you do that. I think I used the free one for probably about 6 months until I got to the point where I just wanted the extra stuff, but they've added so much to this. It really is an incredible tool. Again, for anybody that's in a Gmail, or if you use Google Apps and your email goes through Google Apps, you can also use that. But the reminders are cool. So you can sit here and you can say, okay, I'm going to send an email out to somebody and I want you to remind me basically to come back, right? To send this message back to me if no one's responded in 2 days. And here are some notes that I want to follow up on, right? So you can do this. It's great for sales. Let me see here. They've made it easy for us to scroll past all the features. Send later. This is huge. I use this a lot too. So this is something where you can say, type in an email, and a lot of times, sometimes people can confuse, not a lot of times, but I will find, actually, what? It's a lot of times. People can confuse email with instant message, right? Because they are using emails and instant messenger. They happen to have their email up and they'll email me and I might happen to be in my Gmail. Now this happens, I'm on Gmail maybe once every 4 to 6 to 8 hours, right? So I don't live in my email on purpose because there's so much stuff that comes through there, I'd never get anything done. So I just go in for batches and I batch it out and I come back. But with what happens is sometimes I will happen to be checking my email when somebody emails me. And if I respond to them right away, guess what happens? Oh, they think they're in a conversation and they respond right back. And now I'm in a conversation because they know that I'm there, right? So what I do is I use this feature a lot. And so what'll happen is I will say, I send an email coming in, and because I don't want to train them that I'm going to be there for instant message chat, because sometimes it can set expectations. And this is an important productivity tip. Setting expectations is so important. So if you're working with a client and the expectation is in Gmail or in email that you're going to respond right away, and then the one time you don't, it feels like you're letting them down, right? Because you've sort of set that expectation that you respond all the time in email right away. But if they know that, hey, I'm gonna send them an email and I get a response back in 4 to 8 hours or 12 hours or whatever, if you set that expectation and sort of train them, that's how things go, then they don't have that expectation to begin with. There's no disappointment, right? And maybe you have a text me or a call me if something's a little more time sensitive or urgent, and they know to do that in those cases. And then you're training them, okay, use email for something that's a little not time sensitive. It is time sensitive, then you can use texting or Skype or whatever your system is. So the way you do that, again, is using this little send later function. So if I do see somebody's email come through right away, I go, okay, great. I respond to it, and then I tell Boomerang, yes, but only send this in 2 hours or 4 hours or tomorrow morning, because I don't want to train people again that I'm having this real-time conversation, because that's not the point. I don't want to accidentally set this expectation that I'm going to be able to have instant message chat all the time with Gmail, because it honestly is just not the case for us. So again, it looks kind of similar to that. Very, very cool feature. And I use it, so I can tell you that. Now, read receipts, it does have read receipts. We don't actually use these, but they do have them. So specifically with other Gmail service providers, scheduled send email. So this is very similar, we talked about before, where you can sort of use it to follow up with the send later, but you can also send an initial email if you wanted to. Recurring emails, so let's see, we haven't used this a ton. So this is where like an email follow-up that you could say every Monday if you want to make sure your team, you just wanted to ping somebody. And that's something else I will do too, is I'll use email, because if I am batching out an email and I don't want to actually send an email right away to somebody to follow up on something, let's say we have an email conversation. I'll give you a for instance. We have an email conversation, somebody says, okay, yes, I'll take care of that. You go, great. And then right away, I'll send an email to them again 2 days later, if no one's responded to that email chain. And that email that gets sent 2 days later would be, hey, just wanted to follow up on this. Did you need any help from me? Right? And so I'm basically automating the follow-up through Boomerang. Boomerang will send them a follow-up if they haven't already responded. So it's such a cool tool. You can use it in a lot of different ways. And I'm probably getting too excited here, but you can go through the rest of these. So follow up with emails if no responses, you can see that. Tracking, they have mobile. I don't use the mobile. That's the one thing I would say, because it kind of is this whole new mobile browser, and I really enjoy the using my own Gmail system setup, because I lose a lot if I, because they don't really have extensions, at least not yet on Gmail mobile, as far as I know. So I don't use the Boomerang mobile, but man, everything else in desktop is amazing. So check out this tool if you haven't already. It is super cool and highly recommended. All right, so that's communication. Again, distraction-free messaging, Boomerang for Gmail. There are lots of other programs you can get. Skype is obviously one you can use. Slack is a big one that's starting to take the world by storm, and it's just like these little, they're all instant messenger stuff. That's all it really is, right? So for chatting back and forth. And then what's another one? HipChat is also a good one. HipChat is like the paid Skype. So they actually have video chats. They have, they're really good for teams to get together. If you have a team where you can like upload files, and it makes files a lot easier to upload, because Skype, sometimes they can get lost in the stream. So that sort of stuff is super cool and worth checking out. Okay, let's go ahead and dive into some other things here. Focus. Focus is so important. So let me show you this little tool. This is called Stay Focused. And as you might be thinking, that must be a misspelling. It actually is not a misspelling. So what you do is we're gonna, again, Chrome extension here. You can see why we like using Chrome. Stay focused with no ED, it's just a D. And so what this does, this will actually force you, it kind of shuts you off, right? It shuts you down from visiting certain sites during certain periods of the day. which is kind of cool if you think about it. So if you have this ability to withstand Facebook, and I'm going to brag a little bit, I do. I don't enjoy the Facebook experience. I use Facebook out of necessity for business reasons because people will tag me in particular for analytics help, and I help the the digital marketer group and everything like that. I'm tagged in there quite a bit, so I have to kind of go in there to verify and do taggings and help out people where I can, and I don't mind doing that, but it's just I can't spend all day doing that, right? So I'll go in once a day, once every 2 days, something like that, to try to get that stuff updated and cleared out. And I personally don't have a problem with Facebook distraction, but there are things that I do have a problem with distraction. For example, email. Right? Sometimes that email thing can just sort of bug you, like, oh, I want to check on this, I want to check on that. And when you get into email, you go through 400 different spam messages or newsletters, and something catches your attention, and then you're off on 1,000 other things that you shouldn't be doing. So one of the things you can do is with Stay Focused, you could basically set it up to say, it will not have, don't allow me to access gmail.com for between this time and this time, right? Or if you need to focus, like actually, I hear people can actually get work done that does not involve the internet, which is fascinating, right? Imagine that. You can actually do this little option where it shuts down all websites. You can't even get any website work done at all if you needed to focus like on a, maybe you're doing like a typical Word doc or working on an Excel spreadsheet or something that you had to do. So Stay Focused, just with a D, instead of an ED here, but just with a D. Again, super cool tool to basically change your environment. So, which is a huge tip. We'll come back to a little bit later. All right, next up on that list is Nanny. Now, they recently changed their name. They actually used to be called Chrome Nanny, but I'm going to change this. So it's going to be Nanny for Chrome. And this is very similar. So nope, that's Facebook Nanny. So similar concept. This is the now this one shuts down Facebook. So shuts down Facebook completely. So this is not it. But if you need that help, it can do that. You can also use something like Stand Focus. So Chrome Nanny. Let's just do that. Where is it? Chrome Nanny. Let's go type extension, see where that pops up. And I'm not seeing it. I see Facebook Nanny, but it was called Chrome Nanny. Now it's Nanny for Chrome. They changed their name. That's a problem. Now nobody can find them. Let me just see if there's a link here. Nanny for Chrome. There you go. So same basic idea where you can set up, if you use Chrome and you want to have an extension for it, you can actually block everything, different sites. So between the two, I kind of like Stay Focused, but this is a very similar example. And you can see any of these nanny type utilities, for Nanny for Facebook, Nanny for Chrome, Nanny for whatever, you can see how they work, right? So they basically are shutting off part because why waste your precious amount of willpower to tell yourself no to avoid something? Instead, just make it so that it's not there to begin with, so it's not even an option for you to think about. And that's sort of the concept behind these. And again, very, very powerful concept if you can master that. So we'll come back to that. But that's sort of some ways to stay focused, because without focus, obviously can't be too productivity, or at least too productive, I should say. All right, next up is leverage. How do you leverage yourself? How do you get more done, right? So huge site. Every once in a while I do talk to people who just have not heard of this site yet. So I want to make sure that you are not in that group. So Fiverr.com. Everything's about $5 here, and you can pretty much have anybody do anything. And this is where I wish we had like a thousands of people could be like, somebody shout out a name, but let's say bark like a dog. Just gonna see what that happens to be out there. So yes, this is also you know what, I did not put this on the list. I should have. This is a Time Doctor. We use this for productivity big time because it tracks our hours and it does stuff like this. You see this little thing here, this little pop-up that just happened. It went hey, are you still working on seriously simple marketing stuff? Because this looks like you're browsing for fun, right? And it's doing that just because this site just wasn't included in our list of productive sites. That's all it was. So I just say yes and then it gets out of the way. But it's also super cool because it happens on Facebook, it happens on YouTube, and it sort of reminds you like, oh wait, yeah, I need to get to work. But look at this. So a natural video review. Let's see, autoresponder, draw a cartoon dog. I guarantee you can find somebody to bark like a dog, animate a talking dog. So there's a dog that actually will talk, message with a dog. So there's all sorts of insane, crazy stuff. So whatever your niche is, you can also probably get some ideas. Maybe you didn't know you could get a talking dog, but you can. So for $5, right? Super cheap. So take a look at Fiverr, because a lot of what we do is, like, for example, logo design, right? I get all my logos initially through Fiverr, and then I moved over to 99 Designs to get them kind of revised. But Fiverr was great because I could spend $5, or technically I could order like 5 or 6, so I might spend $30 total, and I would get different people to say, all these people will say like, oh, I'll give you 5 different logos for $5, right? So I would get like 5 or 6 of those. So I have 30 or 40 different logos coming back at me for the thing that I want, mostly just so I can get ideas, because sometimes you're like, I don't even know where to start, right? I don't know what I want it to look like. So you get 30 different variations of what it could look like, and you take a little of this, a little of that, you go to something like 99 Designs, and now you can give a step up. It's a huge way to leverage my time, because I don't want to spend time thinking about what I don't need to think about, right? And there's a lot of that. And I think that's what hurts productivity the most, is when you're thinking about stuff that you just don't need to be. And so your job is to get rid of that. That's the whole point of leveraging, right? So that somebody else is helping take stuff off your plate. So Fiverr is one for sure to take a look at and use. Again, we still use this. Use it, because it's the experiences are pretty good. Their ratings are really good. So when you find people with high ratings, their chances are they're going to deliver pretty decent work. And it amazes me how many people are willing to do something for $5. So check that out. The next one is kind of a level up here, is Growth Hackers. This is something that we recently started using, and we had equally as good experience. So I will show you that. So this is growthhackers.com. And so this is like a Fiverr type marketplace, right? Except that all the vendors here they understand internet marketing. They only work with internet marketers. That's it. So this is something where you can go into this site, you create an account with the site, and then you can go and you can say, I need to find a copywriter that can do a sales page, or I need to find somebody that can set up Infusionsoft for me, or I need to find somebody who can set up our analytics, whatever it is that you want. You have all of this cool stuff that you can take a look at. Oh, you know what? I totally put in the wrong name. I just realized that. It's not Growth Hackers. Growth Hackers is a forum site as I look at it. What am I talking about? It's Growth. Oh, I gotta find it. I think it's Growth Geeks. It is Growth Geeks. This is what I'm talking about. So we'll have to adjust that slide. Growth Geeks. Can't believe I did that. So yes, Growth Geeks is what we're looking for. Growth Hackers, great for browsing the web. So boy, talk about distraction, right? But Growth Geeks, that's what we want. So when you take a look at this, you can see here, right? Gigs. You got different gigs and packages, so you can browse. Let's try to do something. Email marketing. Bam! Look at all that email marketing stuff, right? And very important, notice not $5, okay? $1,000, 49 a month, 500, 1,000 for higher end stuff. But this is my point: is you can get people to do very, very simple things, or you can get people to do very complicated things, because they have everything. $3,000, right, for an email campaign. I mean, and everybody's prices are different, so they all have these different vendors. They all do the same different things, but it is a definite level up. Again, Growth Geeks. Want to make sure I say that again. A definite level up to what you would find in like a Fiverr, but it is specific to internet marketing, to digital marketers, to online marketers, to those of us who are doing this for a living. They understand what it's like working with us. And man, sometimes that is so much more powerful to work with a vendor who understands kind of where you're headed as a marketer and how you think as a marketer. Chances are they are too, and just the fact they've worked with so many different marketers, to rely on that experience is really, really good. So take a look at these. Again, you can kind of click through here before you open an account. Traffic, conversions, data, email, product. I mean, these are clearly internet marketing stuff, right? Sales. So what you need help with, this is absolutely a place to check out. And we've used this. We use this for content creation to have like a little. We have a PDF goals guide that we created. We had them create this. It cost $300, and it was a vendor on here who created it. They did an interview with me on the topic. And then they went through and they promised they would do like at least a 5-page PDF, fully designed and little pictures and how-to images and annotated stuff, which they did, except that it came out 11 pages because we had a little larger of a topic, but they did everything. It was really, really nice. And if I had to do that myself, I can do it. I have the skills to do it. But if I actually had to sit down and spend the time to build an 11-page PDF on how to set goals, you know how long that would take me? It would still not be done. And it's not that I can't do it. It's just that I have so much other stuff I need to do that project would have gotten pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, and we would never have launched it, and we would never have it in the hands of people now. So sometimes it's worth paying $300 to leverage yourself, and in my case, it was, pay somebody $300, leverage it, get it done, get it out there, so we can start getting data on the funnel, right? Getting feedback on what we need to improve and optimize, and that leads us to more sales, and so it becomes something profitable as opposed to something that may one day happen. If that makes sense. So huge thing there. Now I'm going to go ahead and flip this back because you will now notice. There we go. Growth Geeks is there. Okay, so Fiverr and Growth Geeks, and then outsourcers. Let's talk about the third one is outsourcers. Now this can be something like Elance or Odesk if you're just kind of finding a vendor for something. But what I'm also talking about here is think about, if you haven't yet, think about working with an outsourcer that's like an overseas outsourcer in the Philippines. Like ourselves here, we've got 7 people that are part of our company. We have 4 in the States. We have 3 in the Philippines. Everybody's pretty much full time, right? So in the Philippines, we're not working with people who are working with somebody else, right? So it's not like an Elance, and that's kind of how I think of Elance and Odesk. It's like, okay, well, you're going to do this one project and then you're going to work for 75 other people that week, and that's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is somebody who just does work for you. They're full-time for you. They basically, for all intents and purposes, are working for your company, right? Like, you want them to work exclusively for you. And that can, depending upon what their job is, that can be a salary. Like if you're working in the Philippines, again, depending on the job and the skill set, you can have a salary of a few $100 to maybe a little over $1,000 or right around $1,000 a month US. So you can find some really quality people, right? So really, people who understand their jobs, people who are very good at their jobs, and in the Philippines, just the way that the ratio works with currency, you can pay them a really good salary from the Philippines perspective, right? So within the Philippines, they're earning a really good salary that they would not otherwise find in a lot of cases working for a company there. Plus, they're able to work from home, right? So the one thing I would say as a hint for that is just find people who are already used to working from home. There are some people who think working from home is a cool idea, and they might quit their corporate job in the Philippines there and to work from home because they like the idea of it. But then it is a challenging thing, right? Like you may have gone through this. I know we kind of did. When you first start working from home, there's a lot of distraction. There's a lot of like, you don't have a boss there, the environment's different. So you have to learn to make sure that you are the type of person who can work from home. And so whenever we hire somebody, we want to make sure that they have already worked from home for at least a year. So they kind of understand the game, right? They know what it's like. They know how to figure out when their internet goes down, how to find new internet, all that sort of stuff. But outsourcing, take a look at it. There's a really good blog that John Jonas has. And I'll show that to you here. Okay, you can just Google him and he'll pop up. Let's see if I can get my mouse to work. I believe it's John Jonas like that. Let's see. Yes, that's John Jonas. Okay, so John Jonas blog. So you come through here. He's got a ton of stuff about outsourcing in the Philippines. So really good information, and it's a great introduction. So if you aren't yet, or maybe if you are maybe not yet outsourcing, but you're interested in it, take a look at this. So really good site and give you a lot of good information on that. So again, for leverage, consider outsourcing. Okay. Now let's talk about some organization, right? So if you're not organized, it's not going to matter at all. So we use something called Asana, which is a project manager, but there are lots of different ones that you can use. I'm going to show you just kind of the basic Asana layout here. Hopefully they'll have some screenshots available. Of course not. Let's see. Let's see. So that's kind of basically what it looks like. The thing that we like about Asana is that, and you can tell in this little desktop view, that actually I do use mobile app on occasion. I don't use it all the time, but it's pretty decent for keeping track of things. And occasionally I will use it to set up a new task if I happen to be out and about and not in front of a desktop. But I actually like the desktop interface better for doing things like that. There's just a lot more to play around with. But what's cool about this is everything's on one screen. So we've also used BaseCamp, and BaseCamp isn't, again, it's not horrible. It's just, and there's a lot of companies that use BaseCamp. Maybe if you have clients, they use BaseCamp. I know that we have clients that use BaseCamp. And BaseCamp is good, but you sort of have to drill down. That's where we started, right? So you click on the project, and then it opens up a new screen that goes into the task. You click on the task, opens up the new screen that goes into the details, and you can't see everything on one or how it relates. And this is pretty simple because can't quite see it on the screen, but this first column that's here on the desktop view is all about the projects. Then within the project, when you click on a project, like in this case, the Buzz's Apollo Enterprise task thing, this would be all the different tasks in the project. And then when you click on the task, like in this case, review blog post was clicked, there's all the details of that task. So you can see the details of the task and everything that's going on here, along with all the different tasks for the project, along with all the projects, right, as part of the teams that are set up. So it's all right there. So it's really easy without having to click around and see things. You can just see it all, which kind of makes it work a little faster for us. So that was one thing that we really liked. Next up in our list is Trello. Now I have some clients that use this as well. This is a little simpler, and it uses these cards. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this up so you can take a look. And again, Asana, by the way, free. They do have a paid version, but I have yet to need it. We might be getting to the point now where we might end up using it, some of the advanced features, but we're still investigating. But right now we've used it for probably a year and a half now, 2 years almost, and it's been great. So BaseCamp, we were paying $50 a month because we did need to have the paid version just because our team size. And we ended up just leaving BaseCamp to go to Asana, and it wasn't for the price. It was because Asana just did more, and it was easier to use, and it was better for us for our purposes. And we ended up saving money. So check it out. Trello is also free, and as far as I know, there is a paid version again for maybe some of the more advanced features, but it works kind of like this. Like you set up these boards, right? Like an ideas board, a to-do, a doing, and a done. And this might be something that's, again, very simple. So if you're just working by yourself, Trello might be perfect. So what you do is you create these little tasks and then you drag and drop them to the cards. So and think about this like maybe index cards, right? So these little index cards kind of moving around. You can see, you can put photos and videos and whatever else in there, and you move them from one kind of status to the next. And that's how it's done. So if you have a project that you're working on, like in this case, the example is the Great Kitchen Redesign. So the redesign would be like at the project level. And when you click down into it, you can see all the different status, right? Sort of statuses of the project, and then the cards that were the tasks basically that are and which status that they're in. And as you finish something, you do it. Now, when you click on a card, this stuff can pop up, and you can actually let me see if they have a picture. Let's see. Yeah, when you click on a card, it looks something similar to this. So you can do like little checklists for what you need to do and comments back and forth. You can add followers if there's a team or other people involved. So it's interesting. I personally don't like it as much as Asana. Asana is much easier for a team. Like in Trello, I'm sure there's a way to do this, but I don't know how to tell what my tasks are out of everybody else's with Trello. Trello is really good if you're one-on-one, I think, if it's just like you or maybe a couple, 3 people. But when it gets to a lot, like with Asana, I can go and say, okay, what are my tasks? What do I have to work on? And then as a manager, I can go to Asana and say, okay, what are somebody else's tasks and what do they have to work on? And I can instantly see that. And it separates everything out, right? With Trello, I have yet to figure out how to do that. I'm sure there might be a way to do it, but if somebody tags me and says like at Mercer, make sure you take care of this, I haven't found a way in Trello to look at that and say, okay, show me all the at Mercer tags. So I know what I need to do. I have to kind of click through, scroll through everybody's comments and just look for the at Mercer tag, which is a different color, but it doesn't matter. It's still kind of waste some time. But again, at a different level. I might be at a different level than where you are. So if you're just starting out, Trello might be perfect because it's just a visual way to keep track of in a very simple way, which is important. It's a highly visual and very simple way to keep track of what you need to do, specifically using this little status, right? So here's the ideas, and then here's the things I'm actually working on, or I need to work on, things I am working on, and things that are done. It's kind of how it works. It's kind of like that getting things done style of time management. So Getting Things Done is a book that was written a while ago on time management. That's sort of kind of that method of how they work. So again, check out Trello if you haven't already. And then BaseCamp we talked about. I'm going to bring it back up again. BaseCamp's kind of like the old standby. It does not work for us, but I know a lot of people who do like it, right? So let's see, BaseCamp. Actually, I think it's just 37 signals. Let's see. Oh, BaseCamp spelled correctly. There we go. So It does. It is. They've been around forever, right? And so you've got like, here are the different projects you're working on, those little cards, and then this is what I meant, right? You have to click on the project, and then it goes into the task for that project, and you click on the task, and then it shows you the details for the task. And what I really like about Asana versus BaseCamp is that Asana shows you everything on one screen. BaseCamp makes you kind of go double click into it. Now, on the one hand, there is this distraction possibility that could happen with Asana because you're seeing all these other things you got to work on. And so maybe it's tougher to use Asana for you because you get distracted looking at all the other stuff you have to work on. Whereas BaseCamp is kind of saying, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to show you exactly what you need to see. And that's it. You're not going to see all the other distracting stuff. So, I guess you could make a case for both. It's really which one you want to try. Both are free to get started with. BaseCamp definitely has a paid program. There isn't a free for everything, but you can take a look at it. So, and see if it's something that works for you. All right. Your environment. This is our big quote for the day. Your environment determines how productive you are. It's not your willpower. And a lot of people think productivity is about willpower. Okay, I'm going to make sure I do this and this and this, and then I'll be super productive. But what ends up happening is you end up using your energy, using your precious energy to make decisions that you shouldn't even have to make in the first place. And when you alter your environment, you don't have those decisions to make. So what I mean by that, as an example, we'll go back to that Facebook example. I don't even ask myself about going on Facebook and checking out Facebook every 6 hours or every 6 minutes because I don't care. It doesn't even pop up. But there are a lot of people who do. A lot of people who do because they spend their life on Facebook looking at things and typing stuff out or whatever. And that's cool. But those people, if they have a productivity challenge with Facebook, right, because they are in it all the time and they got to figure out how to avoid it, they should use something like that little Facebook nanny or the stay focused utility, things that will minimize the distraction, not allow them on Facebook. And when they try to do it, it just says, hey, you can't do this till 4:00 p.m., right? So it's removing the option to even have to worry about, should I do this or should I not? That's the best way to be productive. Don't even make it an option. So if you need to be more productive and you've got an office that's totally scattered everywhere and you don't know where anything is and you're constantly looking for things, it's maybe time to rework the environment, change the direction of your desk, do something physically in your environment that causes this mental shift. You would be surprised, you'd be shocked how much that can help, because sometimes your brain gets set up in this pattern and it's used to seeing the desk in a certain way and the chairs in a certain way and papers on the desk and papers in the filing cabinet, papers falling off the bookshelves, and maybe that pile that you keep kicking under the desk or whatever it is. And it's used to seeing all that, and it's sort of become commonplace. But when you shift a major piece of furniture, all of a sudden your physical environment is different and the brain is more aware of things. And that's a perfect time for you to sort of reset its system and move things around, maybe get a little bit organized doing that way. Your tools, right? So again, talk about environment, the web environment. If you're not using a project manager, like a simple one like Trello, or more robust ones like a BaseCamp or Asana, try using those, right? Because if you aren't putting your things in there and you're relying on post-it notes everywhere, using those will change your environment, puts everything online, makes it easy to collaborate and share. I can also recommend something like we talked about Time Doctor, right? To sort of pop up those notices like, hey, are you sure you're working? Like, those are helpful. A lot of times you'll be like, yeah, I'm working. I'm trying to upload a video to YouTube for my business. But sometimes you just got caught up looking at cat videos and you're like, oh, yep, that's right, I should back to work. And it's like a gentle tap on the shoulder, though virtually. And you can also use things like Google Drive for collaboration, right? So there's so many different ways. Dropbox, OneDrive now with Microsoft, Google Drive, so many different ways you can collaborate and share files and leverage yourself with tools like maybe getting an outsourcer or doing something like Fiverr, if you haven't used that. So many different ways to change your environment and physically alter kind of what you're doing and how you do it. That when you do that, it forces you to be more productive, because it's kind of the environment itself is a system, right? And then when you alter this system, then you will get a different result. Ideally, your result is more productivity. It's just a symptomatic result. It's not like you're trying to be productive. You just can't help but be more productive. And that's the secret right there. Your job is not to try and figure out and use willpower to be more productive. If you're doing that, your system is wrong. You're trying to take a crappy result of the current system you're using, which is, hey, your system's producing things that make you not productive. And then you're trying to be productive out of that, right? That's a lot of work and it's effort and it's stressful. Instead, look at your system and say, okay, what can I adjust in the system so that it's already producing a result where I'm more productive, so I don't have to be more productive? And it might sound a little confusing, but that's really the secret of productivity. You alter the system so that the system produces productivity to begin with. and you just figure out more and more ways to do that. So it's always outside of yourself. Again, if you're trying to use willpower to be more productive, wrong thing, right? You want to adjust your system, adjust your environment, and your environment is the system, right? The environment around you, that's what gives you these results. That's what you should focus on. All right, so we'll go ahead and move on. We got a little long in the content portion here, but that's okay. What was your one idea? Was it changing your environment? I hope it was, because that's kind of a one that people don't think about. Changing your environment is a massive, massive shift to productivity. Was it something like Boomerang or one of these other tools that we talked about, like Growth Geeks? A lot of people don't know about Growth Geeks, but it is huge. Now that I don't call it Growth Hackers, it's Growth Geeks, but it is huge. Or maybe it's time for a team. Maybe you just never really thought about outsourcers. I mean, I went for years, I heard about outsourcing. And then I, finally was like, hey, you know what, that's not that big of an investment if it doesn't work out. I can try a few $100 and just sort of see if we can have somebody help us with this, that, or the other thing, and get, kind of that virtual assistant like thing. But it worked out really, really well. And it's what helped us grow our company so much, was just the fact that it helps me to train myself to let go and let other people do the work. And it helped a lot. So maybe it's time for you to grab a team. Whichever it is, at the end of the day, action is what brings results. So let's make sure that we are taking action on at least one thing. Then you come back and do another one, then find another one, then find another one. All right, so reminder again, we're about to finish out the content portion and move on to the Insiders Club. But if you're not an insider yet, all you need to do is go to SeriiouslySimpleMarketing.com. You'll see plenty of ways to sign up for that. It's completely free. And then you will also get access to this next part, which we're about to jump into, which is the Insiders Club Q&A. So if anybody has questions and wants to talk about anything that we focused on here or any other aspects of digital marketing, we chat about it there. And then we'll send you out as an insider. You get access to the complete replay, including that conversation, which is kind of nice. So again, completely free, and encourage you to go through and do that. And with that, we will bring this episode to a close. It's been Digital Marketing This Week, episode number 43, A Marketer's Guide to Productivity. Thanks again for joining us this week, and we will talk to you next week.